Thanks to Dashlane for sponsoring this episode. Find out more a little later in the show. Arriving in this city makes me a little uneasy. We don't have a happy past together, Madrid and I. It is the setting for a chapter of my life that I'd rather forget. My Waterloo. The streets and sounds and smells are potent and vivid reminders of my failings and my defeats. Returning to this city seems like an indulgent act of self-flagellation, of masochism. But it's been a long time, and this city itself is not to blame. So maybe it's finally time to put my demons to rest and see Madrid as the rest of the world sees it. For as many times as I've been to Madrid, I'm still always impressed by its sprawl, by its size. The third largest city in the EU, Madrid is over 230 square miles, modern European capital, imperialistic remnants, and sleepy Spanish suburbs. And as you move between those three personalities, you'll start to get the feeling that Madrid is different from its Spanish sister cities. There's a formality, a refinement, an imperial polish that doesn't exist anywhere else in Spain. And I kind of like that. Madrid is served by Adolfo Suarez Airport, one of the biggest airports in Europe. A lot of people like this airport. I'm not one of them, particularly Terminal 4, one of the most bizarrely designed and laid out airport terminals I've ever been to. If you've ever had the desire to go to Narnia, don't bother. Terminal 4 at Madrid Airport is better. Or worse, depending on how much you hate yourself. The good thing about Madrid Airport is that it is extremely well connected to Madrid itself. Line 8 of the city's excellent metro system goes right to the airport, and the local commuter rail service goes from central Madrid directly to Narnia, Terminal 4. The 25-minute metro ride from the airport to Nuevos Ministerios station, from where you can transfer to the other metro lines, takes 25 minutes and costs just €5. The airport has 2 metro stations, so check the maps for which station is closest to your terminal. While you can take a taxi from the airport into Madrid, unless you're trying to reach a corner of the city where the metro just can't penetrate or you have a lot of luggage, it's hard to justify that €30 flat rate fare commanded by the city's Legion taxis. Nevertheless, if you fall into one of those categories, you can grab a taxi just outside the terminal. Due to the sheer size of this country and, of course, the joys of rail travel in continental Europe, you could very well be arriving in Madrid by train. And arguably the best and easiest ways, and certainly the most comfortable ways to get from Madrid to Barcelona is by train, which is just 2.5 hours away. And if that's you, then you'll be arriving here at Atocha station. And as with so many European central stations, public transport is integrated into the station itself, so you can jump on the metro to your final destination with ease. Speaking of the metro, Madrid has the second largest metro system in Europe, bested only by London for sheer scale of reach. The Madrid metro truly is excellent. It's cheap, it's safe, it's clean, it's relatively efficient. It is by far the best way to get to almost every nook and or cranny of this city. A single journey on the metro costs between €1.50 and €2, depending on distance, and you can buy your ticket from the multilingual ticket machines located throughout the stations. The machine will also sell you a 10-trip pass as well. And don't forget that your metro ticket is also valid on the city's extensive bus network. Finally, if you feel like you'll be moving around the city a lot while you're here, the tourist pass is well worth looking into. It's valid for all the public transportation system, metro and buses and local trains, across zones A and T, and can be purchased in increments of 1, 2, 3, 5, or 7 calendar days. Spain, or at least Spain's taxi drivers, have had a contentious relationship with the ride-sharing community in the past. Strikes, protests, even violence have prevented companies like Uber, Lyft, and the rest of them from establishing a consistent presence in Spain and, of course, in Madrid. But as of now, November 2019, Uber is operating in Madrid. And without wanting to be inflammatory, it's not a bad idea to look into those services because Madrid taxi drivers don't have the best reputation. They'll often take routes that are much longer than they need to be, or they'll do what they tried to do to me last night. And when you pay by a credit card, they'll tell you the credit card has failed when it really hasn't, and you pay again on another credit card. Thank you to the TransferWise app for alerting me to this so I could bust that asshole who tried it on me last night. God, that felt good to say. If you're anything like me, you use a lot of different sites to plan and book your travel, let alone all those other travel-related tasks like keeping track of your frequent flyer accounts and your hotel loyalty programs. It is a lot to keep track of. So thank goodness there's Dashlane. Dashlane is a mobile and desktop app that gives you shortcuts for everything you do online. Fly through forms, log in instantly, and breeze through checkouts on every device you own. Dashlane lets you fill in forms fast with one click. Logins and autofill for personal information and personal details. And better yet, it works everywhere on every device, Mac, Windows, iPhone, or Android. It's also keeping your data secure by letting you respond easily to breaches and hacks with personalized security alerts. But on top of all that creamy goodness, there's benefits for us travelers too. Dashlane securely stores your passport and travel document information and securely syncs them across all your devices. It also makes buying travel easier as well by filling in all your login information, passport details, credit card numbers, and even your frequent flyer details. And finally, it includes a built-in VPN so you can securely use the internet when you're on the road in hotels and airport lounges, and of course the added benefit of being able to stream Netflix, etc. when you're on the road. So to make your life on the road and in the skies way easier, go to dashlane.com/attaché to get a free 30-day trial and 10% off Dashlane Premium as well. Spain is a society that celebrates and circulates around food. Dear friend and Madrid native Alex Barrera introduced me many years ago to Casa Pepe, a suburban taverna that exemplifies Madrid's food and drink culture.
Food is the excuse to socialize with people. That's how people engage. And so the bars, the old school bars like this one, are the kind of bars that allow you to, gather with your friends after playing football. And then you go like, hey, let's go and have some beers, right? What in Ireland it would be a pub, that's our equivalent. Like right. Our pubs are bars where the major currency is food. Right. So you will choose the bar based on the how much free food they give you, what kind of tapas they give you, how good the tortilla is in that place. Right. So every neighborhood has like their 2 or 3 bars that everyone in the neighborhood know.
Tavernas are neighborhood hubs found all over Madrid. You're never far away from a refreshing beer and complimentary snack, and each one will have a specialty. And Casa Pepe's is wings. This
is the usual dish here. It's the reason why people come to this place, and the reason why they call it Pepe el Guarro, it's like Pepe the Dirty, is because they give you this stuff, and the usual is that you throw the bones to the floor. Right. So now it's there's not a lot of people, but even on a Thursday, like at 8, like this is packed. You cannot come through the door, and the floor is littered with bones. Like and it's the culture of it.
Well, they look amazing. Wow, those are so freaking good.
So sorry, Greg cannot taste them.
No. Just watch us, Greg. Just watch us. Like a lot of cities in the world, breakfast is a thing that's very individual to everybody. But what I love about Spain, and in particular Madrid, is at 11:30, everybody stops and has a snack. And invariably, or in a lot of cases, it's a bocadillo, which is essentially a sandwich made out of kind of like a baguette roll. Particular to Madrid is bocadillo calamares, which is exactly what it sounds like. A bocadillo sandwich filled with fried calamari. You can find it anywhere, but this is my favorite place, Bar La Campagna, which is just behind Plaza Mayor. I mean, look at it. It's a thing of beauty. Right before what I would have for lunch, but of course they don't have lunch till 2 or 3 o'clock here, so this is the perfect thing to get you through today before you have lunch. A thing of beauty.
So we've established there's no shortage of great food in Madrid, but we need to talk about when you can get it.
The usual is most people here won't have like a strong breakfast early in the morning. Well, early for us, which is maybe 8.
Right.
Then they will probably make a stop, like a pit stop at 11, where they will actually go with the people from the office. They will come to a place like this, they will have a coffee and then a pincho de tortilla or some churros or something like that, right? So like it's a midday.
Sure. Someone tied you over.
Exactly. And then they will have the full-blown lunch at 2:30. Then they will go on, and then dinner is normally 9:30. It sounds weird, but when you actually live here and you experience the weather, and so the weather patterns dictate how we work, and that also correlates with when we eat.
Makes sense.
It's 2:30 in the afternoon, and Mercado San Miguel, an indoor food market, is a decent spot to sample some local flavors and traditions.
How wonderful to be in a city where you can just buy cups of meat to walk around with.
But first, a couple appetizers.
I think what I love about Spanish food the most is the small plates, which I know is not an exclusively Spanish thing, but it is so typical, so representative of Spanish dining and Spanish food culture in general. Lots of little dishes with a beer, which you take your time over, share with friends, a very, very social way of eating. And typical of that is, again, not exclusive to Madrid, are these wonderful croquettes, and you can find them everywhere, in every pub, every bar, every market hall like this, and they're wonderful. They're little potato breaded, deep fried, and they're always full of cheese, ham, shrimp, different types of meats, anything, and they're just, I love them. Shrimp and cheese. So good.
Appetizers, plural. We're not done yet. I need some more fried goodness.
Yes.
Calamari and anchovies, come at me.
It's kind of weird that for a city that is entirely landlocked and hundreds of miles from the ocean, that Madrid arguably has some of the best seafood in Spain. Now, you will pay for it, but it is very, very good and can be found in almost any form you want it. Raw, deep fried like this, and just about everything in between. There's something wonderful about eating a whole bones and tail and head and all.
Speaking of bones, tails, head and all, back at the bar after wings and a cow stomach stew, there's just time for a dish that I would actually fight a guy to get more of.
So this is the reason why I'm friends with Alex. Because he introduced me to this Spanish chicharrón, and I cannot get over how good this stuff is. It's glorious. It is my most liked Instagram picture of all time. A picture of pork.
And if that doesn't deserve a tip, I don't know what does. And when you tip in Casa Pepe, they give you quite a thank you.
I'm glad I don't have a hangover. Madrid is very obviously part of Spain, therefore it uses the euro. Now, credit cards are widely accepted and their use is encouraged in most stores and restaurants and pubs. But in the smaller bars, markets, places like that, they either won't take your credit or debit card, or they'll have very high limits, like 30 euros or more. if you want to use your credit card. So do have a little cash on hand before you go into places like that. Madrid is generally a very affordable city. Yes, if you go into some of the food markets and other touristy areas, you will pay a premium compared to the restaurants just down the road. But that's fine, because compared to other European capitals, this is a very, very affordable city. And on that note, let's do the rundown. A nice peaceful cup of coffee will cost you around €2, but hey, it comes with churros, so totally worth it. A beer's gonna cost you just €1.20 in a place like this. And for the most reliable indicator of a nation's cost, the good old Big Mac Index, see previous video, you're gonna pay about €4.25 or $4.70 US.
I've been reluctant to come back to Madrid for years now. It was easy to make excuses, decline invitations, or just look elsewhere. But now, having finally returned, I remember what drew me so inexorably to this city in the first place. Yes, the food is great, that's always the fastest way to win my heart. And the people are warm, charismatic, and welcoming, even some of the taxi drivers. But Madrid is one of those rare cities that is exponentially greater than the sum of its parts. To experience it is to appreciate it. And to do that, you must take to its streets and wander. Lose yourself. Then perhaps, with a little bit of Madrid's magic, you too will fall under its spell, just like I did once again.